Hello, I'm Karma Kitaj, and I'm your host for A Livelihood, New Adventures as We Age. As you might know, if you've been here before, I interview people over age 50 who have started to do some new and exciting things. So today I'm going to introduce you to Marian Knapp, who went back to school and got her PhD when she was almost 70. She finished when she was almost 70, and we're going to find out what she is doing since then. So, welcome, Marian.
Thank you.
And as you told me, you've always worked, but you always wanted to go back and get your PhD, right?
That's correct.
And you decided to do that in your 60s, correct?
I was 64.
Yeah. So what was that experience like for you going back to school in your 60s?
Actually, it was probably, aside from my having children, the best thing that I ever did. It was an extraordinary, wonderful experience.
So you said you say you loved every minute of it.
Yes.
You loved just the intellectual stimulation of being back in school?
Well, it was a combination of things. I think it was, first of all, as you mentioned, I had actually always wanted to go back to school to get a doctorate. I had a master's degree in anthropology, and I had, between moves and children, my hopes to continue on to get a doctorate didn't materialize. So at that point, I was in my 60s, and I realized that I could live to be into my 90s, and if so, what was I going to do with the next 30 years? So that it was, first of all, an intellectual challenge, which was actually, a number of people had asked me if it was difficult going back to school, because I hadn't been in school for decades. But in a way, it was easier. First of all, I found that I had so much life experience that I could decide what was really important for me to learn, and the things that I knew that really wouldn't necessarily benefit me in the future. Yeah. And I wasn't trying to impress anybody except me, didn't challenge myself to know that I could do it.
Did you do a lot of independent study?
Yes, I did. The first year of the program is that you have to take assigned courses. There's sort of basic courses that you have to take.
And you have to do that on campus, or is it remote?
The program it's actually designed for not mature people who may have jobs. So most of the work is done on weekends. You have to be on campus for the first year. You have to be on campus for the one weekend a month, and then there's an intensive summer program where you take the equivalent of 4 courses during the summer.
So say more about why you loved it so much.
Well, I loved the challenge. I loved the fact that I was going to do something that I had always wanted to do, and that there was, and this idea that it was still possible, even though I was into my 60s when I started. But one of the most wonderful things about it was that I was in a group, a cohort of people who were all ages. I was clearly the oldest, but there were many, people in their 30s and 40s and some in their 50s. And it didn't matter. What was really wonderful, we just all shared this experience, and your age didn't make any difference whatsoever in ways that I never expected.
Yeah. Well, and you also probably got a lot of experience in writing.
Well, actually, I had done a little bit of writing before, but that were related to jobs that I had had in the past. But I really didn't realize that I could write until I think it was in my either first semester or second term, when I did an optional essay for one of my classes, and the instructor said that I should submit it to the literary magazine at Antioch, which I did, and it was accepted and it was published.
So, but I think you are doing
And
much of that
I
now,
am doing. I'm not writing for the Reader's Digest. And the other thing I knew, I didn't want to be in an academic environment. Excuse me. I wanted to take what I learned back to my community. So, and I'm doing that as well. So, since I finished my degree, I joined the Newton Council on Aging, and I'm now chair of the Newton Council on Aging.
That's here in
Eastern
Massachusetts.
Eastern Massachusetts. It's a suburb of Boston. And I write a column for the local newspaper. There's usually an article about once a month that I publish about all aspects of getting older, including the fact that if you have something you want to do, it's really never too late.
So let's go back for a moment to what you were saying about your studies at Antioch. I'm interested in the topic that you chose and what you did with it and what you did for your dissertation.
Okay. Yeah, you had asked me about the, was it a lot of independent study? So the first year you took the regular courses that everybody had to take. The second year, you had to do basically a year's worth of independent study. You had to design and carry out your own program. So I did a number of things. I did huge literature searches and read in multiple fields and did annotated bibliographies on multiple aspects of aging. So that was one thing. I interviewed people. I interviewed caregivers. I interviewed older people and wrote that up. And I took a course. There's a course, and it's still going. There's a course that's given, it's a collaborative effort between Harvard Medical School and Simmons College, called An Integrated Approach to Managing the Care of the Older Adult. It's a long title. And that course is designed for professionals in training, doctors, social workers, physical therapists, and multiple disciplines, to figure out how to work together as a team in managing the care of an older person.
And of course, you did say that over the years you've cared for many older relatives.
Yes, my mother, who lived to be 95, several aunts of mine who either didn't have children around or had no children. I took care of an uncle of mine, and a disabled cousin who was my age. So once you finish that year of independent study, then what I had to do, as the other people in my cohort or in the program, you take that experience and then you have to write what was called an integrated essay. It was essentially, in that year of independent study, what did you learn?
And then you graduated.
And then I graduated.
Almost age 70, you said.
Right. But you asked also about my dissertation, and I'll come back to the graduation. When I began to do a lot of reading, I began to see that there was a lot written about people getting older in cities, people getting older in rural areas, but almost nothing about getting older in the suburbs. There were pieces of it like housing and transportation, but no perspective about what was it like to get older in a place that was really built for families with young children. And it was kind of amazing to me, because half of the people in the United States live in suburbia, including half of the people who are over 65. So it was really kind of a revelation to me to say, well, where is there stuff written about me? Because I live in the suburbs. And not me as an individual, but me as a representative of all of these people. So my dissertation was Aging in Place in Suburbia, was my dissertation.
I bet that just the fact that you did decide to go back to school in your 60s is something that that you're a role model for people as they age.
Well,
Okay, well, thank you so much for being with me today.
You're very welcome.
And I'm looking forward to hearing about when your book comes out.
I will definitely let you know.